What if starter Pokemon had a fourth stage? While this may sound like pure fan fiction, this idea actually could have been, because in the original Gold and Silver Space demo from 1997, there were several scrapped evolutions for existing Pokemon, including different forms for the starters. Yeah, that's right, the starters that we know and love today weren't actually the original starter Pokemon, and these Pokemon might have had different evolutions. So in this video, I'm continuing that concept by exploring what a fourth stage evolution could have been for the Generation 2 starter Pokemon. Evolutions that go beyond what was thought to be capable of regular Pokemon, and I'm calling them super evolutions, where these special forms can only be achieved at level 50 and require interaction with a legendary Pokemon to unlock. So let's dive in yet again and see what these super evolutions will look like for the Johto starters. Oh, and if this video gets 4,000 likes, I'll do another video covering the Hoa starter Pokemon and giving them super evolutions. Okay, let's do this. Alright, let's start with the Chikorita line, one of the most underrated starter designs in Pokemon in my opinion. If you watched my What If Pokemon Had a 4 Starter video, then you'll know the Johto starters are themed around different ages of the dinosaurs, with the Chikorita line representing the Jurassic period, since Meganium is based on the Sauropoda, a long-necked dinosaur from that era. But something you probably didn't know about Meganium is that it's actually based on one of the biggest mix-ups in paleontology. Because believe it or not, there was once a creature called an Achynosaurus, which was originally believed to be a dinosaur when it was first discovered. But later on, scientists realized that it wasn't a dinosaur, but actually a fossilized plant, which explains why Meganium's scrapped middle evolution, Hanamogura, looks so weird, because it's literally based on a plant-dinosaur hybrid. That right there is a dinosaur plant, literally. So yes, in the paleontology world, there's an ancient plant out there with a dinosaur name, which is pretty cool and an awesome origin for Meganium, a pretty lame starter Pokemon to most people. On top of that, Meganium's flower is inspired by the infamous corpse flower, one of the largest and rarest flowers in the world. It looks like a massive jungle bloom sprouting from its neck, and if you've ever seen one in person, it literally looks like a headless Meganium standing in the wild. Just look at it. That's literally a Meganium there. So since the Chikorita line is so heavily based on ancient and unusual plant life, what if it leaned even further into that for its super evolution? Transform Meganium into a living, breathing jungle relic, an ancient rainforest come to life. Enter Florigon, the fourth stage of the Chikorita line, a majestic grass dragon type Pokemon that was once believed to have gone extinct millions of years ago, only to re-emerge under rare and mysterious conditions. It's said that in the deepest parts of the wild, only a select few Meganium can awaken this dormant evolution, becoming true relics of prehistoric nature. And alongside its iconic corpse flower, Florigon has bloomed with Rafflesia, Magnolia, and Psychid flowers all across its body, plants that actually existed during the Jurassic period. So this isn't just a Pokemon anymore. It's a walking ancient garden brought back to life. And this video is sponsored by Summoner's War Sky Arena, one of the most iconic turn-based mobile RPGs out there. And they're celebrating their 11th year anniversary today. That's right, 11 years of collecting monsters, building custom teams, and dominating battles, with over 240 million downloads worldwide, and for a good reason. Summoner's Wars features over 1,000 monsters, each with unique skills and abilities, making the team building possibilities nearly endless. And to celebrate this milestone, they're dropping a massive event where you can get up to 200 free anniversary scrolls. Each scroll summons a 3 to 5 star monster, including the premium light and dark monsters. And just look at these, they're pretty awesome. You'll even get to customize 10 full weeks of Hall of Heroes, letting you choose which past 4-star monsters you want to summon. So yeah, this event gives you a lot of freedom to build a team that you want. And there's also an anniversary shop loaded with exclusive rewards, like a special Cowgirl Transmog, Summon Hinge skin, and more premium rewards for you to get. And the biggest reward? You get to choose a free 5-star and 4-star monster, fully max leveled, max skilled, and awakened. That's a huge upgrade from previous anniversary events, and it gives you a major head start in the game. Plus, you can use my code right here to claim a bunch of free loot. You'll get 11 special scrolls, 1 legendary scroll, 20 mystical scrolls, and 5 million mana stones. So it's kind of a big deal. And Summoner's War is free to play, packed with PvE and PvP content, whether you're grinding solo in dungeons or taking on massive guild battles with friends. So check it out using my link down below and claim your scrolls today. And let me know what you summon, because you can get something pretty epic. And if you're into monster collecting games, this game was made for you. And thanks again to Summoner's War for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back into the super evolutions. Alright, now let's talk about its specs. Florigon continues the classic pattern of having the overgrow ability, because all starter Pokemon have that ability for their base ability. because it is a Pokemon that walks amongst dinosaurs back from the Jurassic period. For Meganium to achieve Super Evolution, it must use Ancient Power in a forest where Celebi has appeared, like Elix Forest in the Johto region, or possibly Eterna Forest in the Sinnoh region. And this ties directly to Celebi's connection to time travel, as it's known to leap between the past and the future, reviving this ancient evolution for the first time in millennia. It's as if Celebi is awakening Florigon from a prehistoric slumber, restoring a long-lost piece of the natural world. For its moveset, Florigon will have the moves Giga Drain, Roar of Time, Ancient Power, and its signature move, Primeval Bloom. A powerful grass-type move that fully restores the user's HP and raises both the defense and special defense by 1 stage. But this move can only be used once per battle, with a PP of just 1. Think of it as a last standing healing bloom, triggered only when a guardian of a forest is pushed to its absolute limit. That is Florigon here using Primeval Bloom. And this will be a recurring theme with the other 4-stage Johto starters, as all the signature moves are extremely powerful and can only be used once in battle. And as for the lore of this Pokemon, its Pokemon Gold and Silver Dex entries would state this. Florigon was once believed to be a fossilized plant, but when its ancient power awakened, it moved again for the first time in millennia. Its presence restores life to dying forests. Once thought to be extinct, Florigon is said to have slumbered in deep forests untouched by time. Its body is as hard as petrified wood, and the flowers on its neck bloom only under the light of a full moon. And there you go. That is Florigon, the super evolution of Meganium. And I would say this is my third favorite out of the bunch. So get ready for the next two. Next up, we have the Cyndaquil line. And like I mentioned in my What If Pokemon Out of 4 starter video, this line is inspired by the volcanic and meteor extinction of the Cretaceous period, the very event that wiped out the dinosaurs and ended their reign on Earth. And something else you probably didn't know about the Cyndaquil line is that originally they weren't planned to be the fire-type starter Pokemon, because Game Freak originally had a Fire Bear line in mind instead, with the scrap Pokemon being Hanaguma, Burubia, and Danabia. All these are Fire Bear Pokemon that were scrapped, which we will tie into his super evolution. So what if this volcanic forest wasn't just a natural disaster in the Pokemon world? Because according to Brute Bonus Dex entry, dinosaurs absolutely existed in Pokemon, since it literally says it resembles a Pokemon that looks like a cross between a dinosaur and a mushroom, and it literally says verbatim, a dinosaur. And that's exactly what Typhlosion's super evolution explores. The idea that its final form was a cataclysm that reset the world and gave rise to the modern Pokemon era. Dinosaurs were no longer at the top of the food chain because of this Pokemon. Pokemon were. So enter Ragnarupt, the 4-stage evolution of the Cyndaquil line. A fire, psychic-type Pokemon said in legends to be the true force behind the extinction of the dinosaurs. Its flames reshaped the world, bringing an end to the prehistoric age and allowing Pokemon to thrive. Named after Ragnarok in Norse mythology and eruptions, it embodies a cataclysm that resets the Pokemon world. And as the natural progressor of Cyndaquil's animal line, starting as a mouse, evolving into a weasel, and then a wolverine, we thought it would be fitting to bring things full circle by drawing inspiration from the original scrapped Firestarter line, a bear, a fiery bear. And to deepen Ragnarup's lore, it's also inspired by the Sephirim, 6-winged flamed wreath angels from biblical texts said to guard the throne of God. And these celestial beings embody divine power and judgment, which perfectly reflects Ragnarup's role in reshaping the Pokemon world. And if you look closely, Ragnarup has 6 sprouting flames on his back, symbolizing those sacred wings that the Sephirim have. And to tie both the bear and Sephirim inspirations together, we gave Ragnarup the psychic typing, drawing from the constellation Ursa Major, also known as the Great Bear, which links Ragnarup to the heavens and ancient prophecy, reinforcing its role as a divine force in the Pokemon world. Alright, moving on to his specs, Ragnarup continues the classic pattern of having the Blaze ability because all the Firestarter Pokemon have that ability, but for his hidden ability, it gets a signature ability, Armageddon, which activates Sunny Day upon entry and weakens Dragon-type moves. A direct nod to his legendary role in wiping out the dinosaurs. And I guess it kind of hard counters Florigon's ability too, because it powers up Dragon-type Pokemon. So I guess whoever comes on the field first or second will have the advantage. And for Typhlosion to achieve super evolution, it must be revived using Sacred Ash in a location where Ho has perched, referencing how Ragnarok marks both the end and rebirth in Norse mythology, with Ho symbolizing resurrection and new beginnings in the Pokemon world, like Ragnarok did with the dinosaur era. For its moveset, Ragnarok will have the moves Lava Plume, Draco Meter, referencing the asteroid that possibly wiped out the dinosaurs, Psychic, and a signature move, Sacred Prophecy, an unavoidable fire-type attack that summons a giant massive meteor in the sky, and after 2 turns, it crashes down and knocks out the targets, no matter what. And just like with Floraga's signature move, this can only be used once in battle. Pretty powerful, I know, but very fitting for the lore of this Pokemon. I think at least. And as for the lore of this Pokemon, its Pokemon Gold and Silver Dex entries would state this. Legends say this Pokemon's flames reshaped the Cretaceous world, ending the age of the dinosaurs and allowing Pokemon to thrive. Long ago, its fiery wings illuminated the skies like a second sun. Some say Hisui and Typhlosion inherit its lingering embers, using them not to destroy, but to guide lost souls. And there you go. That is Ragnarok, the super evolution of Typhlosion. And I would say this is my most lore-packed Pokemon in this video. I had a blast coming up with this concept, and I hope you guys liked it too. The next Pokemon may be my favorite design out of the bunch. So let's move on to the Totodile line. And last but not least, we have the Totodile line. And like I said before in my previous video, I mentioned the Totodile line is based on the prehistoric alligator, known to be the apex predator of its era. But something that's often overlooked and was completely dropped in Feraligatr's design is how Croconaw is clearly inspired by a caveman, because the spotted pattern on his body looks like primitive clothing, and the bandana-like scales on his head really sells that prehistoric primal vibe. But once it evolves into Feraligatr, the whole concept gets scrapped in favor of a bulky reptilian brawler. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Feraligatr wasn't the original evolution for this line. Because what happens to the caveman inspiration for the Croconaw? Like, that should have came through with Feraligatr's design, I think. So what if we brought that caveman theme back for its super evolution, creating a final form that ties the entire line together by unleashing its most savage primal instincts? Well, enter Feraligatr, the fourth stage of the Totodile line, a hulking, water fighting type Pokemon that represents the ultimate survivalist in the Pokemon world. A beast forged in the harshest conditions of the Pokemon world's version of the Ice Age, covered in stone-like scales and ancient battle scars. It resembles a cross between a crocodile and a caveman warrior. It doesn't just survive the elements, it dominates them. It is the Feraligatr. And this concept pulls from the real-world myths and folklore where early humans battled monstrous primates and crocodilian beasts over control of swamps, rivers, and wild territory, echoing age-old tales of survival against ancient guardians of nature. And its entire body is built for power. Cracked armored plating, claw marks etched into his hide, and a thick muscular frame that displays pure primal rage. And for its design, we took inspiration from John Rainbow from the Rainbow movies, hence the long flowing bandana on its head. And combined it with elements from King K. Rool from Donkey Kong, which is one of my favorite games of all time, so I had to do it. Which is where his tough armored chest plating comes from, since King K. Rool has a belly of gold. And overall, I think this is my favorite design out of all the Johto Starter super evolutions. It just looks like an absolute beast, like it's ready to tear down anything in its path. And I especially love the touch of the red claws. It has so much intensity to the whole look. Alright, moving on to his specs, Feraligatr keeps the classic Torrent ability like the other starter Pokemon, but for its hidden ability, it gets a signature ability, Primal Instincts, which removes all of its type weaknesses while at full HP, making it a true apex predator with no weakness, which perfectly reflects the survivalist nature it's based on, tying into his caveman inspiration and the real-world fact that crocodiles have been around since the time of the dinosaurs, proving just how resilient they truly are. And for Feraligatr to achieve super evolution, it must defeat a Raikou in battle while holding a King's Rock, symbolizing the moment a primal predator conquers a legendary force of nature. And this ties directly into the long-standing rivalry between cavemans and saber-toothed tigers, which is what Raikou is based on. And this is the ultimate test of survival for Feraligatr. Especially this Raikou is a legendary Pokemon and has a type advantage, making this evolution feel raw and earned. And the King's Rock, that represents Feraligatr reaching its apex, becoming the true king of the prehistoric predators. For its moveset, Feraligatr will have the moves Waterfall, Close Combat, Swords Dance, and its signature move, Primal Lunge. A savage, instinct-driven charge that always goes first, can't be avoided, and boosts the user's attack and speed stats by one stage. And just like the other Johto Super Evolutions, this move can only be used once per battle. And as for the lore of this Pokemon Gold and Silver Dex entries would state this. Ancient carvings depict this Pokemon battling early humans for dominance over territory. Its sheer strength allowed it to survive in the harshest conditions. Legends tell of a time when early Pokemon trainers attempted to tame Feraligatr, but all failed. Only those who prove their worth in battle against a legendary Pokemon can unlock its dormant strength. And there you go, that is Feraligatr, the super evolution of Feraligatr. And I absolutely love how this one turned out. It just looks awesome. It's literally a rainbow Pokemon. King K. Rool Pokemon too. So we have Fluorgon, the living ancient jungle Pokemon, Ragnarupt, the cataclysmic force that gave rise to Pokemon, and finally Feraligatr, the apex predator of the Jurassic Age who can survive and adapt to nearly anything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch my other videos where I make a 4 starter Pokemon for every generation right here, or this video here, or make a super evolution for all of the Kanto starter Pokemon. And be sure to subscribe. Feraligatr, yeah!